Welcome back, everybody. So for our session coming up, we will be just discussing on the rise of international TV channels in Africa. I have the pleasure in welcoming for moderation today, Tamima Ibrahim. So Tamima, if you want to take over from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Shanna. So we're just going to get started. I am Tamima, Business Development Manager at Pan Africa Group. And in this panel, we have several speakers. So I'm going to start introducing the speakers, starting off with Mr. John Momo, who is the Chairman and CEO of Channels TV, which is the first and one of the few thriving national TV brands in Nigeria, dedicated solely to the dissemination of news. I also have on this panel, Renee Williams. She's the head of local productions for video entertainment for SABC, which is the South African public broadcaster. We also have Sahif Kone, who is the group marketing director and digital director for RTI, a publicly owned radio and television authority of Cote d'Ivoire. Then we also have Thomas, who is the Senior International Project Manager at DW, which is a German public state-owned international broadcaster with partnerships across the continent. So today we are going to be discussing the rise of international TV channels in Africa. And hopefully for the next 40 minutes, we're going to be tapping into the great insights from the wealth of experience from all our panelists. So let's jump right into it. So let's kick off with each of you probably sharing with us your content strategy, and at least if you can help us understand the specificities of the content strategy that you've implemented in terms of genres and objectives. You can start with you, Renee.
Thanks, Tamima. From South African Broadcasting Corporation, our content strategies are normally designed around two things: our mandate, which details the type of genres we need to have, and language. And obviously by inference, language would lead us to culture. We do have 11 official languages and a lot of sub-dialects that we try to adhere to. And the second most important one is obviously in terms of competition. The market and the audience determines what is our investment into what genre. I think for the last 15 years, our investment has been into fiction, mainly drama. And I see, given the statistics, we're probably going to continue with fiction in the coming 10 years. It's still one of the biggest consumption. Obviously, our side, our concentration within the drama is in local. The reason it is in local is not necessarily because we believe that it is a critical public service objective. The market has said that to us. The biggest consumed programs in South Africa on any platform, whether it's pay TV or free to air, is drama and SABC drama. So a large part of our investment goes into drama. Over the last 5 years, we've seen the audience consumption in long form. So thankfully, not necessarily soaps, but telenovelas or melodrama has increased. They've been consuming it. If you look at the top most watched programs in South Africa, 90% is telenovelas. So a large part of our consumption is within long form drama. We're trying to create an investment that doesn't drive too much within the melodrama area, because melodramas are not going to exist too long on a digital platform. So we're looking for long form dramas. That's our investment strategy. Then obviously you need to have your tentpoles within your schedules, and those are entertainment. South Africa, I think like the rest of Africa, loves reality TV. So that's a huge consumption habit. That becomes our second biggest spend. And then we move into the documentary, children areas. But our concentration now is long form drama and reality TV, which we can push onto digital media.
Thanks for that, Renee. Over to you, Mr. Momo. What has been the specificity of your content strategy at Channels TV?
Well, this is predicated, just as Renee said, on the objective of the station, which is to produce news and current affair programs that will challenge the curiosity of our viewers in order for them to have something that they will use to impact on their lives, and at the same time trying to draw them to what their rights are, and at the same time, on the other hand, trying to see to fulfill our own purpose of holding government to account. So with these three areas as a tripod, we try to get contents that will speak to these various areas. And as a news and current affairs station, what we've noticed over time is that people like, more of talks and politics, and also watch the news. And also we've tried over the past few months to try and increase our content for the young people, and to try and produce content that will fit the bill, that will attract them, albeit news and current affairs. And we seem to be getting ahead with this. Because the station is also a private concern, we also have to do content that speak to advertisers that they'll be interested in. And so the business news and the business programs also support this area. So the content is predicated on all these areas. And what we try to do is to regularly check to see if we are resonating with the people. And we see by the numbers, particularly on the digital platform, that people come in at various times of the days when we have our flagship and they're hooked onto us. And we try to see those areas that are black spots, as we say, that we can improve on, to see how we can improve on this, the kind of content that we produce at that time. But talks are generally getting grounds. We're expanding our content in that area. The strategy for us is also to append the political programs, try and see if we can create more content in that area, so that people who are interested in such subjects, and because the elections are coming, will be able to get what they want from Channels TV.
So, and to you, Thomas, because you're also in the business of news, what has been DW's strategy in terms of content so far?
Yeah, if we're talking about DW's basic prerequisite, it's important for us that we can, everything what we are standing for can be implemented in our broadcasting objectives. So we are talking about independence, journalistic work, clear facts, relevant information for our target groups, which is important for an international broadcaster, because it's a disparate audience that we are facing. As far as forms of presentations are concerned, we are convinced that fact-based information and so first-hand news, so to say, and contextual reporting is important. So this is one of the reasons why we are at a stage where we're expanding our network of correspondents, for instance, in Africa, because we need more information to be contextualized from the field, from the regions. And of course, we have also learned that well-structured narratives on specific regional issues like health works very well. So we also moved to making solution-orientated films where we clearly can show the limits of the solution and contextualize them for our global audience. But all in all, we are very well aware as an international broadcaster that there is no one-size-fits-all solution that works for all target regions. Hello?
Okay, sorry. I think, Thomas, maybe
yes.
Now we can move on to Sahif. So Sahif, RTI is very, very dynamic. So what has been your content strategy so far? And when it comes to what you're putting out, how much of it is actually produced in-house?
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for the question. Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. The mission of RTI is to inform, to educate, and to entertain. So free mission. We have all our roles are defined like this. So so far we have a big part of our production which is dedicated to information. So the news. The other part is for the local content, because we have some entertainment of content of entertainment from the morning, in the midday, and at night. And another one with RTI distribution is dedicated to the content strategy. You see, we have some content we are producing with Renee. Hello, Renee. With SABC, and we have some other ones that which are produced locally. So in fact, as far we can say that we have a diversity, a multiple strategy through the television and through the digital also.
Over to you, Renee. So when it comes to content, how important is exclusive content and original content in terms of what you're putting out? And probably if you can give us some insight in terms of what percentages of those does the SAB produce in-house, and what percentages of those do you outsource to external producers?
Thanks, Amina. So our structure is that we commission 100% of our local content to independent producers. The only content that gets done internally by the SABC is news and current affairs. And I think that's a given the editorial nature, and then sports because it's live. But every other content I commission externally to producers. Give you an example, I currently hold about 280 projects on a fiscal, and all of those projects are to external producers. And that is at a spend of about 1.2 billion South African rand. So for us, quality local content is key and is critical. It's something we've built over the years, and we don't want to lose that. And I think sometimes when the market gets under pressure and we just want to push out local content, we can lose the quality. With the competition coming in, we need to ensure that we keep that balance in quality versus quantity. So at the moment, majority of my spend is to dramas. We try to keep the typical broadcasting model, where there is a 60-40%, 60% recommissions, because this industry is built on people wanting to come back for more. So as the series go, you begin to build an audience base, and then 40% new within our schedules, so that we can bring those fresh voices in, new innovation. Pop culture is such, especially with the proliferation of digital media, pop culture seems to change every couple of years. I've got a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old, and they have a very different view of pop culture, and there's 2 years from them. I am probably too fearful to think about where my pop culture is. But for us, your schedule is tenfold and derived around original content and exclusive content. Once you monetize your exclusive content, you can push it off into other regions, because at the end of the day, the more money we can make and break even, the more we can put back into the industry. So I would say we've got 3 channels at the moment. SABC 1, it's our youth channel. It carries 95% local content. SABC 2 is our family channel. It carries 85% local content. And SABC 3 is our millennial channel and our public commercial channel, and they carry 45%. So that is the content I deliver exclusively and originally to them across those 3 channels. They also get pushed into markets. We sell content into Africa. There's some of the Caribbean islands that we sell to, and we also license to OTT.
Thank you for that insight. I think a lot of people are actually quite impressed by the numbers and the volume of hours that you must be producing across all those channels. Okay, so over to you, Sahif. I want to understand now, in Cote d'Ivoire, is international content still as attractive as local content probably is for audiences?
Oh, definitely yes, but yes and no at the same time, because international contents are attractive because we cannot have the same thing, finishing as a production like Game of Thrones, of Casa de Papel, you see. But at the end of the day, consumer wants to see their own content on the TV. It is so to make the competition to complete what I was saying a few minutes ago. We also have about 5 or 6 channels in RTI. You have RTI 1 dedicated to the general one, RTI 2 dedicated to the family, the La Trois in French, or can I say the 3, which is dedicated to young people, and it is at the same time music and sports, you see. And we have RTI for internal, which is RTI Boaké, which is a regional channel, and you have also RTI Digital, which is the replay of all the content we have. So we have noticed that our consumer with the digital can make the consummation of channels like Netflix or whatever, but they have a good appetite for our content because they see the local contents on the TV or on the smartphone. So it is very interesting for us because even if we don't have the same, the same level of investment as Netflix, for example, the story, as the content is interesting, as we have a good story, we can make some good production and satisfying our customers.
Okay, maybe to hear from you, Mr. Momo, because you're in the news business. So how important is exclusive content and original content in the line of news?
It is, first, the original content. I mean, we produce about 80%, if not more, of our local content, the content that we use as a news organization. And the other 20%, we commission some, and then some of them are the kind of partnership we have with local players and international organizations. And in doing this, we try to make sure that the ethos are the same. We want good quality programs on our station. We try to make sure that they conform with the code, and as much as possible that whatever we do reflects all sides to an issue. That we do most of the time. We have a couple of a network of channels in Nigeria, regional stations, but it's a thematic station as well. But what we do with channels television, which is the main, the parent channel, and channels terrestrial, which also is for the southwest of the country, and the other channels in the regions, and channels 24 in the UK, is to see how we can differentiate the programs, the content on those channels. But the news is networked for the most part, and we have a rolling format of news on the hour, every hour. So we try to see how much diverse, how we can reach a large number of the audience, people who are watching us, giving them, the content that they would want to watch at different times of the day. As you know, because of the digital era, we have to move our content also to the digital plane, which we do, and are having good numbers to show for that. So as far as the content that international content is concerned, we have partnerships, as you know, very good partnership with the DW, which is very strong, and the numbers are counting, and we enjoy it because of the kind of what we gain from such partnership, quality of programs, and the kind of training that we're able to expose our staff to, in terms of production, in terms of production values, in terms of lighting and audio and all the like. So that helps us a great deal to be a rounded station, to maintain our quality and to be like an international station. So content, the local content for us is what we thrive on. We produce most of it, and as I said, more than 80%.
Okay, so now to you, Thomas. as an international news media who has a huge presence in Africa, would you say that international content is attractive for local audiences? And then also probably if you could give us some insight in terms of how at DW you have invested in making sure that you have exclusive and original content for the African viewers.
Yeah. I can follow up on what John Momo says. Of course, international content is still attractive from an international perspective if it affects the reality of people's life in the regions. This is one thing that from our information and news side is very obvious. So take, for instance, issues on, as I said, on health, environment, science, economy. All of that is being packaged by DW in different languages. And what John said, we have managed to set up, for instance, business talks with several partners in Africa, where our journalists talk about exactly what interests local societies. So trade agreements, natural resources, new technologies that are all relevant for Africa. So I think these international views are also interesting. And believe me, this would not happen if the content was not relevant or important for the users on the continent. What we also try to do is because of we are focusing on especially the young generation in Africa, because we felt that they are interested in things that go beyond their home, their district or towns where they live. So some of them are emotional, some of them are more fact-based, but this is something I think they want to know from an international view. And to answer your second question, especially for those people, we are producing exclusive content. We have, for instance, a so-called street debate, which is done on site in different countries in Africa, and where our African host is discussing very special issues in the streets with a group of people, NGOs, normal people that live around. So this is a special format that is dedicated to younger people. We also have formats where we are working with Channels TV. This is an environmental magazine, and we found out that environmental issues are so interesting for Africa as we are going into the field Africa is more than 50 countries. We have our reporters going into the field, filming solution-orientated issues on the environment. Is it for conservation? Is it for recycling? Is it for how to maintain air quality in Lagos? Whatsoever, you name it, you got it. So I think there is a specific content that we discovered that is interesting for, let's say, an international audience and especially for partners in Africa.
So we all know that audiences are getting younger, and here in Africa, as Thomas would say, Africa being the 77% continent where majority of the population is youth. So kicking off with you, Renee, probably let us know what are some of the strategies that you're using at the SABC to appeal to younger viewers, and at the same time to make sure that your product is keeping up with the digital transformation that we're seeing happening now in our industry. What tools are you using in terms of convergence? Which social media, which of the other apps, what is working for you at the SABC?
Thanks, Mina. Yeah, I think South Africa also has, I think our population is about sitting at 60% youth. Obviously, I think all the other broadcasters here with us today or worldwide would understand that a community that has a large youth market doesn't necessarily have a conversion to revenue rates. So they are huge, they are large, but they do not necessarily have the funds to spend. So as much as you can reach them, you struggle to convert those eyeballs into rands and cents, purely because where they find themselves in the point in their lives and a various number of other socioeconomic issues. So what we do is we've got a channel that's specially dedicated to youth. That's SABC1. It still reaches about 53% of the African population in its content offerings. And starting from our children's portfolio, our drama portfolio, our fiction, our factual, all the content we acquire speaks to the youth. We also run programs where we do industry developments, encourage young people into the industry, because I certainly cannot speak for a 17-year-old, but there are 24, 25-year-olds who are making their mark in the industry, who's coming in, who has the pulse and the sense of where young people are. So we bring them on in terms of our productions. So they come on board, they bring their creativity, they bring their edge, because young people can tell whether a program that they're watching, has it been made by Renee, or has it been made by somebody they can totally identify with, whether it is in the piece of music I'm featuring in the show, or it is in camera angles. And so it's in how we present our entire portfolio to them and our brand. So we link the brand to the pop culture of where they are. SABC1's brand is Mzansi for sure. It relates very strongly into where young people's minds are. It's about being ambitious, being progressive, wanting to achieve, but we are recognizing the challenges that they have in all our content. We use social media, and from a content perspective, I call it the crumbs. So it is a way where we can get people back to television. We go onto social media and we start planting and we drop in crumbs so that they start getting interested. Young people's ability to stay focused, we all know, is not very long. So social media allows us to connect with them. Anybody who's done above the line marketing understands it's a very old form of marketing. What social media allows you is to be able to connect with younger people quickly, efficiently. You drop a seed, you get them interested, you push them back to your mother brand. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to lose any more money into that digital field than we already are, but we want to talk to them. I have a drama series. I can't necessarily communicate with the audience when the show is on air, but we can prompt after the show on social media, in discussions, in engagements, get them talking. I also use that information to feed back to me in how I then design my editorial moving forward. So I think that's a way of connecting with them.
And have you been able to monetize off social media at the SABC?
Very minimal. It's still quite small in South Africa. Outside of it's not necessarily in terms of numbers, advertisers will still spend majority of their money on a television platform. That's where they get the most numbers. Data analytics are interesting for demographics, but data analytics doesn't necessarily tell you that you've pushed somebody into the store and they're going to pick up the new Dove soap. So we do not use it at the moment for a revenue arm. We use it as a marketing PR arm. VOD is something we're going to be looking at. The SABC is designing its own OTT platform, probably launch in the next 18 to 24 months. Then we'll begin to start looking at commercializing in terms of pop-up advertising, because we're still free to air, so you can't necessarily use a subscription model.
So,
but it's not
Sahib,
breaking the bank, Tamima. Yeah.
Okay. So, Sahib, at RTI, your strategy is combined both linear and digital. So how has this helped you to attract younger viewers? And at the same time, probably give us some insights in terms of which platforms are working for you and have you been able to monetize?
Yes, wow. Thank you for the question, Tanima. In fact, to attract young people, we have, as you know, we have to educate, to entertain, and to inform. By the perspective of information, we combine the experience of following the linear television, and to have, because we know that all the young people are the same. And as you said, 77% of the population here in Côte d'Ivoire are less than 35-year-old. So the majority is very young, and we know that the young people are the same in every country. They cannot stay like a hand to watch at something. They always have a device on their hand. So we engage the conversation and the discussion with them while they are watching the television. So for the information experience, we have RTI info and the information at the same time. They can check to see if it's the fake news, if it is the real news. They can have it at the same time on the hand and to follow the information you are given. And from the entertaining, we have a channel dedicated to that. It is La Trois, and we combine the experience to permit to young people to follow the program on the TV. And we create the Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And it's fantastic because they discuss with us and within them while they are watching a TV show. So it's very interesting because it permits us to increase the audience. And as we have a good audience, we can convert them to the monetization. So to monetize, we have Google, which we are making some good deals. We have a very, how can I say, our CPM is not very high here in Côte d'Ivoire, but because they watch many videos on our platform, we can have a good level of monetization. And since 2 years, we have our own platform, the VOD platform. We can permit them to have, instead of, how can I say, information, only information, we can have movies, we can have series and things like this on the platform. And to finish, we combine the monetization of the platforms. And as I'm dealing with, I have the luck to deal with marketing also here in RTI, we have made some bundles. We can permit to B2B to have at the same time visibility on the TV, on the radio, and on digital. And they know that when they take the package, they can address directly to young people. So it's very interesting in this kind of perspective.
So to you, Mr. Momo, obviously Thomas weighed in on his experience, their experience with youth at DW. So, and I'm sure there's some quarters who'll ask, are youth interested in news? So probably if you could give us some insight into what your experience has been like at channels, and at the same time, how you have basically tapped into social media to grow your brand.
Absolutely, we're using social media a great deal. And I mean, today I asked them to try and get us the latest statistics on how we're doing on social media. Twitter, in spite of the fact that you know what the problem is with Twitter in Nigeria, we have 4.7 million followers on Twitter as of today. That's stagnated since July because of the fact that there's been a ban on Twitter for now, which I believe will be lifted very soon. Facebook, 3 million viewers. YouTube, 1.7 million subscribers. And then Instagram, we have 1.1 million followers. In essence, Channels is trying to be as much as possible ubiquitous, trying to take all the content to where the youth are. We know where they are, all the digital natives, so we follow them and make sure that they can see our content anywhere. So if they're going on smart TV, they can get Channels on it. They can go to our own app, Channels app. They can go to an app that we develop for the whole broadcasters in the country. Anyone who wants to join can join on the app, which is TV Now. And this is, you know, they're early days, but they're beginning to show very good strengths for us. We also on TikTok, you know, so each platform has its own types of content, how you have to be able to reach the youth. So as Rena said, you use the social media to drive content, to drive viewers back onto the linear channel. And it's a synergy that works very well. And as Saif said, the youth are very restless. So they're watching TV sometimes, and they're on their phone, and they're doing they're multitasking at all times. So you try to give them as much content as anywhere at any time they want it. So that works. As for monetizing, which you asked others to speak to, again, early days, but we are monetizing on Google. It's getting better, but it's not where we want to be. Facebook, the same thing, and our app, the channels app. We're trying to get that done too.
Okay, right. So as we wind up, probably let me start with you, Renee. If you could please let us know, how did COVID affect your productions? And at the same time, were you able, like, what sort of year was it for you? Like, were your advertising markets affected as well?
Yes, so advertising was hugely affected. The spend dropped by something like 35 to 40% in the previous fiscal when COVID hit us. Because we are in a production line environment, you can't necessarily align your expenditure to productions to your revenue coming in. You always have 1 or 2 quarter lag. So that means our expenditure on productions remained the same. We didn't drop it because advertising dropped. Then obviously, if you see our annual reports now, you will see there is a marked difference. We're going to need another 24 to 36 months to recover. From a production perspective, a number of our productions were in an okay position in terms of stock levels, so we could keep the broadcast on air across our 3 channels stable without having to pull off. But the impact was felt this side of the year because a lot of the productions we slowed down. So we slowed down production. That meant that a lot of people obviously were not in production and employed during that time, and they're only picking up now. Couple of things we implemented. One of the critical ones was seeing which of our formats can be adjusted. Obviously, those were within the entertainment genres. I will send through a promo to you guys that you can post if you want on one of our shows, Stand Up South Africa. It's a brand new reality competition show, talent. We went in, it was COVID, we couldn't bring hundreds of people into a studio, we couldn't bring contestants from around the country, so we used cell phones, people used TikTok, people used YouTube, they used various digital forms to send in their audition tapes. So we didn't have to go to them. They sent us the audition tapes. The first parts of our studios had video walls where we could connect with the families who wanted to be on the show in their own dining rooms or lounge without them coming into studio. There are some of our travelogues where we adjusted and we didn't get a grouping of people go out on the travel show. We kind of turned, it's like taking a vlog and making it an episode, which is effectively what we did on some of our travel shows. On my studio shows, we didn't bring guest audiences in. We kept them out. And then finally, drama was very difficult. We tried to delay it. Where we could, particularly on our long-running ones, we changed some of our camera angles so that we could prevent proximity within the cast on set. We adjusted some scripts where there was a lot of physical interaction so that we limited that. And we kept our heads of departments separate. It did cost slightly more. I think it was another 5% on top of my annual spend, where I had to separate heads of departments. So I didn't have my my makeup, my wardrobe, etc. in the same space. They were sitting quite far apart. I had to use disposable brushes. If the ladies here, you know, how expensive they are. So each of my actors had to have it. So yeah, on top of that, you can average it on my annual spend of 1.2 billion, probably on top of that, another 20 million rand towards us creating environments for COVID.
Okay, thank you for that, Renee. Now, as you wind up very quickly, Mr. Momo, you said Channels was unique because last year you actually performed better during the crisis. Maybe give us a bit more insight on that.
Well, as you know, that there was most people were at home because of COVID, and so they couldn't go anywhere. And so
1 minute?
You had a captive audience, and that translated into eyeballs, which in turn translated into revenues. So there were ups and downs, but at least they equaled each other. It wasn't really a bad year as far as we're concerned. We could have done a lot better if it was a normal year, but we kept our heads above water. We were able to continue with our program, cut down areas that needed to be cut down, introduce a lot of cloud production and using Zoom and Skype and remote working strategies and co. So it was good, but it was an experience, and it's changed the whole structure. A new culture has been built.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think to all the panelists, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules. And to you, Shana, as well, for considering us for this particular session, and to the participants who are watching or streaming. I really do hope that we earn the privilege of your time. Over to you, Shana.